So what kind of tracks can we use in Logic Pro? What are the formats? We have 4: audio, MIDI, drummer, and the new pattern format. So every single one of these formats we can use within Logic Pro. Now thus far we've covered 2: audio in blue, software instrument, aka MIDI, in green. There's another format. It's called drummer. Let's check it out. Now, we're not going to go over all of the details just now, but I want you to see how it works. So at the top, we have an audio track. Here we have a MIDI track, and the other format is inside of the new tracks dialog window. I'm going to hit the right arrow key and click on drummer. Now, if you don't know the key command, Option Command N, or you don't like key commands, you go up to the tracks window at the menu bar and you hover down to new drummer track. I have that set up as Shift 9. And now we can see that a new format has appeared along with the editor at the bottom of the screen. So I've got my audio track, audio format. We have software instrument with MIDI regions, and then we have the drummer track. And this is how we make music in Logic Pro. Now there is another format, and that's a little bit more advanced, so let's wait for that. What I want you to do is understand how these formats work. I'm working under the assumption that you know absolutely nothing about Logic Pro and production. I understand that's not the case for everybody, but let's think about this. What is an audio format? Well, with audio, you're either physically recording in an analog signal, such as the voice, a bass guitar, saxophone by means of a microphone, anything that's real. Essentially, you can hook up 2 line inputs to an actual synthesizer and hook that up to your audio interface, right? That would be playing back and recorded into the DAW. So you're either recording an audio format in, or you're going into the loop browser and you're dragging a pre-existing recording onto the DAW. In other words, I didn't record this acoustic guitar, but even though I didn't record it, I get to take advantage of it and use it in a creative manner. So audio, you record it in yourself, or you use existing samples and loops to enhance your recording. Software instrument, it's the same thing. You're either going to play in the notes yourself, you're either going to record that, or you're going to take pre-existing MIDI loops and you will use them to build up your sessions. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. You could be somebody that's heavily into samples and you modify them and chop them up, and that could be one workflow. You could be somebody that takes existing ideas, such as the one that you'll hear now. So now instead of using the steel string acoustic guitar, you can use a staccato string. So that's one of the distinct advantages of using MIDI over audio. Each one of these formats is going to give you something new. It's going to give you an edge. One of the benefits of audio is how you can manipulate it. One of the benefits of MIDI is how flexible and malleable it is. So if you didn't catch it, I want to show you how I did that. If I go into the audio track, I can't necessarily change these notes. Like, these notes are what they are, right? But what's interesting about MIDI is that if I double click, I enter what's called the piano roll editor. And inside of this editor, I now have the option of changing things around. So let's drag the original loop. I think it was this one. I'm going to drag it into the tracks area. And this is what it sounds like. Okay, so when it came in, again, pre-recorded, pre-configured by the engineers, on the left-hand side, on the channel strip, you can see it came embedded with a guitar and a couple of other plugins. Won't talk about those now. But you don't have to use that guitar. You see, with an audio track, I'm stuck with this sound. It is what it is. I can apply plugins on it to change the overall presentation, but it's really amazing with software instruments. You have so much more to work with. I don't think that there is one format that is better than the others, but you do have to know how and when to use them to be able to maximize on your productivity. So what I did is, rather than choosing the guitar on the right hand side, I hovered over this tab and I saw the little up and down arrow menu, click, and all of a sudden now I can access all of Logic's plugins. And so there's synthesizers here that sound great. I chose the studio strings to get that last sound, but let's just say we chose the ES2, which is a synthesizer, and I don't know, we choose a synth lead. Let's choose the Miami lead. Listen to this. So MIDI gives you a lot by way of flexibility. So sky's the limit. This is all about creativity. It's about tapping in to the music that you hear in your head, in your heart, and making it come to life. So audio, pre-recorded, or you record it in yourself, software instrument, MIDI, pre-recorded, or you drag it in again. And finally, drummer. What is drummer? This is an AI patented technology that will generate ideas for you. So in the case of this beat that you're about to hear, I didn't make it. It is listening to my session and it's considering the BPM, and this is the product. So for those of you that don't know how to sequence beats or create patterns in a step sequencer, this is great because all of a sudden now it gets you to a place where you can generate an idea and then work off of that idea. The argument obviously becomes, is it really making music if all I do is drag in something from the loop browser? Well, that depends. If all you're doing is dragging stuff from in here, then of course, yes, there is an argument for you should not be doing that. But you can see from my vantage point how I believe you can do anything you want to do. The main thing is that we get you up and running. I don't want you to overthink it. If you are very heavily based on samples right now, that's fine. You know, eventually you might start recording your own piano lines. That's how I started. I relied a lot more on the loops and the samples. It was a lot easier. Rather than me having to record this tambourine, for example, it already sounded good. I didn't see a need for me to kind of recreate the wheel. So we'll drop that discussion for now. My main interest in this video is that you simply learn to drag in loops that are blue, also loops that are green. And then third, I want you to either create a new drummer track, okay? I much prefer you go into the new tracks dialog window and select drummer, because then you have the ability to choose genre as well. So I had hip hop previously. Well, what if we wanted like singer songwriter? Then now I'm a little bit closer to the genre that I want. So let's take a listen to this. And so if you could just replicate this simple exercise, it'll go such a long way. Let's repeat it one more time. Drag in some loops, record in audio information yourself. If you don't know how to record, we'll be covering that next. Software instrument, again, play in the parts yourself. If you don't know how to record MIDI, we will be covering that soon. And then finally, opening up the new tracks dialog window, selecting drummer, and then selecting the appropriate genre. This is something that I want to work into your muscle memory. I know it may seem strange to be talking about repetitive movements in the context of technical work, but believe me, it is very important. You have to know where to go, how to get there, and do it efficiently if you're really to master this program. We're about to go a little bit deeper. We're going to learn how to record audio tracks. We're going to learn how to record MIDI tracks. And then I'll teach you a little bit about manipulating drummer. All right, I'll catch you on the next one.